And
Mr.
Myla.
Herman, I'm going to mute you right now. We are live and recording.
Okay.
All right, Katrina, are we ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Calling the case of Woodland Place Apartments versus Aaron Bowser and Brittany Stillwagon. Would the attorneys please identify themselves for the record?
Richard Herman on behalf of the plaintiff.
Ms. Mylick, I bet you're saying great things, but we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Amy Mylink, Legal Services of Eastern Michigan on behalf of the defendants.
All right, today's time and date set for status conference. Ms. Mylick, has Mr. Bowser or Ms. Stillwagon applied for assistance?
They have, and I've been in contact with their caseworker. We have preliminary information. I think we need an updated ledger or a ledger period from the Woodland Place. And I guess knowing if Woodland Place is participating or not, Mr. Herman, that's always been a question out there.
Yeah, and that's a good question. They are not participating in as much as they will not sign a third-party contract. However, these days, sorry, I had a dental appointment this morning. So if I look like I'm stroking out, it's really not the case.
Okay, good.
My understanding these days is that Sarah will pay the tenant and the tenant pays the landlord directly. That my client will do. They'll give them information such as a ledger, etc. I actually have one in front of me that is to date as of June 4. I can get that to you, Amy, if that'll be helpful.
That would be very helpful to us, so I can get it to the worker at Home to Stay, and then we can process this through.
How long do you think this will take?
I don't think, I mean, she's got everything she needs. We just need to iron out the final figure.
Okay, because it's now June and this thing goes through June. I don't know whether they're going to pay in advance or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, whatever.
What is the amount through June, Mr. Herman?
1965.39. That includes court costs. So it's 1827.39 is rent. 138 costs. Total 1965.39. Of course, if it goes into July, that requires July, and I don't know. Maybe even if it doesn't go into July, they may pay a month or two in advance. They do sometimes, right?
What if, Ms. Mylick, what if we set a June 30th date? We should know, set that as a trial date that meets the 45-day requirements for them, and then obviously it goes away if it does get paid off. And Mr. Herman, that answers your question, because then July speaks for itself. So we happen to have June 30th as available as a date. McKillop, are we able to use what time slot would you prefer?
We would use 1 o'clock, Your Honor.
1 o'clock. Okay.
1 o'clock.
So 1
this
o'clock.
Is Woodland
Place.
v. Bowser. That'll be a third hearing. Okay.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So how I've structured it, Mr. Herman, to try to make a determination is the pretrial, which is required by the Michigan Supreme Court. And then the stay is supposed to take place, but I have no way knowing as a court as to whether or not a person's filed within the 30 days. So we do the status conference. And if a person says, I'm just not filing, then I know within 45 days that your client is not likely to receive funds, and we can schedule the hearing faster than the 45 days. So we're trying to figure out how to schedule these, because if they are trying to receive the funds, then I'm unable to move the case along until the 45-day time period. So doing this at a 28-day, unfortunately, does require the 3 hearings unless the matter gets paid. Then you're still just down to 2.
Yep,
So,
no problem. I'm good with that,
yeah,
Judge.
so just because you do a fair amount here, I just wanted to explain the process of what my thinking is. So by the 28th day, that also offers the tenant an opportunity to say, you still have 2 days to try to file this if you're planning on doing it, because sometimes they don't show up for the pretrial and never get a chance to meet with the attorney and find out that they could have qualified. And with the online portal, it speeds things up. So that's kind of the reason. You would be right for the 3rd. Hopefully it gets itself resolved before the 30th, and then you only have 2 hearings that you'd have to deal with.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
We'll be adjourned on this case at this time.
One more thing though. Amy, if I may, can you give me your email address and I'll shoot this over?
I just sent you an email requesting the ledger.
Okay. And also, having nothing to do with this, I think we need to talk about something else anyway. So if you get a chance to call me, I'd appreciate that.
Or we can stay on and go into a breakout room if the court will allow us.
We've got one more case that we need to address, though. That's Woodland Place versus Christina Starkey, file 21-23279 LT. Mr. Herman is here on behalf of Woodland Place, and Ms. Mylick, I believe you are here making an appearance on behalf of Ms. Starkey, correct?
Yes, I am making an appearance on behalf of Ms. Starkey, Amy Mylink, Legal Services of Eastern Michigan.
All right, so today's time and date set for status conference. Ms. Mylick has Ms. Starkey followed through with the process and filed for assistance.
She has, and we actually do have the calculation sheet, which I had provided to Mr. Herman, and there was this question about how Woodland Place was or was not participating. We'll probably, now that I know that they are not going to accept the funds through payment from Home to Stay, but through the tenant, we'll have to make some tweaks to that, which I can do, and notify Home to Stay of what's going to happen, and we will be able to get that worked out.
All right, Mr. Herman, could I get the amount to retain possession so that my spreadsheet is complete?
$2,837 even, $2,837 even. That is through, let me make sure of that. Yep, that's through June with 138 in costs. So the total redemptive amount is $2,975.
Okay.
And
we'll do the same thing on June 30th, presuming that these will get taken care of and they won't be on the record. But just in case, everyone should know that at 1 o'clock on June 30th, you should be here if it's not resolved.
Your Honor,
Okay.
it will actually be 1:30.
1:30? Okay, be 1:30. Mr. Herman and Ms. Mylick, did you want to meet in the breakout room to discuss the matter that you had?
no, I'm sorry.
You've got other issues. Another court?
No, I'm Amy, the one that I wanted to discuss with you was Starkey. Okay, you sent me some stuff and I wanted to make sure we were on the same page, and I guess now we are. So I don't want to waste your time or the courts. So
All right.
if you need me before that date, you know how to find me, and like vice versa. Otherwise, I'll see you on Wednesday, the 30th at 1:30.
All right, thank you. We'll be adjourned. Ms. Starkey, you're free to leave now.
Thanks, Judge. Thanks,
Thank
Amy.
you.
Thank you. All right, next case I'm calling is Alliance Property Management versus Christy Schmidt. This is file 21-23283. Counsel, identify yourself for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robert Phelps on behalf of Alliance.
Katrina, do we have Ms. Schmidt in the virtual waiting room?
No, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the lobby or anywhere else in the courthouse?
I'll probably be able to shed some light on this one too,
Oh,
Your
go
Honor.
ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Phillips, if you've got insight.
Yeah, just to recap, this is our second hearing. Ms. Schmidt did not appear, nor did anybody from the property show up at the first pretrial, with Your Honor. I spoke with the landlord. They weren't sure what was going on. Ms. Schmidt has been, several months delinquent on rent. She did just yesterday, she submitted to the landlord just a handwritten document. I actually have it, and I could supply to the court if you need the proofs, but I can read it for today's purposes. It says, I have vacated property at 602 Townsend. I have all of my belongings, signed by Christy Schmidt. And then she also provided another one for a male who apparently is either a boyfriend or a fiance or husband of some sort, named Michael. And his says similarly, it says, I have all my possessions. I have all my personal belongings out of 602 Townsend, apartment 6, and she supplied both of those to the landlord. I do see that she was since the first hearing, she was personally served, and that may have been what prompted these letters. The landlord said the one conversation that they had with them, she's aware she's behind, and again had just stated verbally as well that she is moving out of the property. So I'm not surprised to not see her here today. I wasn't sure if she was going to show up due to the personal service. I haven't talked to her directly, let me clarify, but that's what I'm being told by the landlord.
All right. We have the issue though of the money judgment, it appears, because there was a payment for money judgment. She was personally served.
Yes, I guess I was looking to the court to see how your court would handle this, Judge. But with those proofs, I guess I would ask that the possession of the property be restored to the landlord today. It doesn't sound like they need the 10 days to move out. I mean, if the court wishes to give the 10 days, I understand. But based on the proofs, I would ask that the possession judgment could be effective today. And then the money judgment, if the court wants me to proceed, I did prorate the rent through today's date.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and give me that?
The money judgment portion would be the rental portion is $2,115.06 with court costs of $212.68 for a total money judgment of $2,327.74.
All right. So I have a different number for court costs. I have $110 filing fee. I have $57.04 in the service fee. $75 statutory attorney fee if you're claiming it. My numbers show $242.04. I'm not certain. You have $211.68.
Yeah, well, even better. I'll take it, Judge. I guess what I was doing, I wasn't sure if the court would allow us to tack on. We had a fee from the posting and then a fee from the personal service. I kind of waived, I guess, the personal service portion, I believe, because I wasn't sure that we would justify, hitting Ms. Schmidt with 2 service fees, I guess. So I'm certainly okay going with the lower number.
All right. So could you give me those numbers again? Because we did not match. It was 2,000. Or sorry, go ahead and give me the numbers again. I showed the rent portion as $2,115.06. Okay.
And then the cost of $212.68.
All right. The defendant was personally served and failed to appear, has not provided proof that they have sought assistance under the program. A pretrial did take place, and there was some proofs that the defendants have vacated the premises since it was personal service. I will grant possession judgment as of today's date, which is 6/9, and a money judgment against Ms. Schmidt only in the amount of $2,115.06 plus costs of $212.68 for a total money judgment of $2,372.74. Will be adjourned on that case at this time.
Thank you.
Next case I'm calling is Alliance Property Management, file 21-2 LT versus Joseph Josling Jr. Counsel, identify yourself for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robert Phelps on behalf of Alliance Property Management.
All right, today's time and date set for status conference. Katrina, do we have Mr. Josling in the virtual waiting room?
No, Your Honor.
I think Amy's on this one.
All right, go ahead.
I think Amy's on this one, is representing Mr. Jocelyn.
No, Ms. Mylek has said she's not.
I had tried to be in contact with him and had never been able to establish, we had some emails, but he did not follow through with me.
All right, so what I'm planning on doing then, because we're still within the 28 days, he still could file within the next 2 days. I'm going to set it for the actual trial date for June 23rd. Do we get a date, Michaela, or a time slot for June 23rd?
So for June 23rd, we will do 1 o'clock.
June 23rd at 1 o'clock. If the defendant fails to show at that date, you will have a default. But with the Supreme Court guidance, I have no idea whether someone file within the next 2 days or not. And then I would have to wait 45 days. I do not believe I have to wait 45 days, but that's the next court date that we have, because I am out of next week.
Judge, I guess one clarification, or Amy may find this interesting. I was actually surprised to see to hear that from Amy, because the landlords had some contact from the I forget the name of the company that's doing the funding for Midland. Home to Stay, stating that he was qualified actually, and sending at least the documentation, request for documentation. The landlord's gotten back to them, and they had at least by way of internet or by way of email had stated that they were that he was compliant and that they were likely going to be paying. Now they haven't paid yet, so I still would ask if the court would keep that catch-all date of the 23rd in case I'm mistaken or something falls through. But they were suggesting that I look into a conditional dismissal, and that we would maybe be able to talk about that today as long as the amount is paid. So maybe without the help of Ms. Milinek, maybe Mr. Jostling has taken it upon himself to just work the system, which is great. Just wanted to give that update to the court.
All right, I appreciate that.
And certainly if he has been in contact, I will reach out to Home to Stay, Your Honor, and let them and check on that. And they are very good about referring cases back to me. And I will reach out to Mr. Phillips if that happens so that we can get a conditional dismissal done.
All right, wonderful. We'll be adjourned. Thank
Thank you.
Next case I'm calling is the case of Gerald Burton versus Lisa Metzger, file 21-23285 LT. Mr. Burton, good morning, sir. Would you please unmute yourself and identify yourself for the record?
Gerald Burton.
All right, today's time and date set for status conference. Katrina, is there anyone in the virtual waiting room?
No, Your Honor.
Anyone in the lobby or in other parts of the courthouse?
No, Your Honor.
All right, today's time and date set for status conference. The defendant has failed to appear, yet still has 2 more days in order to file for assistance. So what I'm going to do is set this then for the trial date on June the 23rd. What time, Michaela, for June 23rd?
1 o'clock as well, please.
1 o'clock, Mr. Burton, on the 23rd. We'll have the trial date set. Unless you get payment before then, I would anticipate seeing you then, and we will get all of the information at that time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll be adjourned. Is that it for the 10 o'clock docket,
We have 2 more.
Michaela?
I see that it is completed.
Okay.
I also see it's completed, Your Honor.
Mr. Burton, you had 2 earlier this morning for pre-trials, and the tenant didn't show up. So the Lipscomb, Hiram Letts, Amanda Clark, and Joshua Fadula, we already did that one at 9 o'clock. So your next dates for those cases is going to be July 7th at 10.
Okay, so it's just adjourned then, right now.
Yes, it's adjourned till July 7th at 10 o'clock.
July 7th?
Yep, 7/7.
Okay, and both of those?
Those will be status conferences to see if they applied for the home to stay funds.
Well, if they have applied, what does it mean? How does that affect the case?
If they have applied, you might get all of your money plus the next month's rent potentially. And so then I need to wait then another 2 weeks to make sure you get your payment. If they haven't applied, then at that point in time, we'll give you the next week as a hearing date. And then you can do it like we used to do it regarding getting a judgment and then moving forward that way.
Are we ever gonna do it the way we used to do it?
You'll have to ask the Michigan Supreme Court. This is the way it's set. This is the way that it's set right now.
All right.
All right.
What is
Thank
it,